All right. Okay, perfect. So, hi, hello, good evening, my dear students. How are you all? I hope that everybody is fine. This is Ritika, your chemistry educator, and I am back for you all, bringing with me another very amazing and very informative session for all the students of grade 9 especially. तो जो भी अभी 9th ग्रेड में आया है स्टूडेंट्स, यू माइट बी नोइंग कि ये जो 9th ग्रेड है हमारा बेस है, राइट, for 10th 11th 12th and for your whole future. तो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि जो हमारा बेस है, ये जो हमारा फाउंडेशन है, इट इज वेरी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. ओके, एंड इफ आई से और इफ आई टॉक अबाउट केमिस्ट्री, द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग जो कि दैट कम्स इनटू आवर माइंड इज writing the chemical formulas, right? So chemistry is more or less all about chemical equations, chemical formulas, how are reactions taking place and all, right? अभी इन सभी में सबसे important क्या होता है? We should be knowing how to write a chemical formula, right? Balancing जो है, reactions जो है, वो सब बाद में आएगा. सबसे पहले तो हमें मालूम होना चाहिए what do we mean and how to write a chemical formula, right? So for this reason we are going to have a complete session dedicated to how to write the chemical formula, what are some of the general rules, and what is the use of the radicals, valency and what not. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं how to write or how to learn to write a chemical formula. About me, this is Ritika, your chemistry educator. I have completed my engineering in electronics and communication and have been awarded competent leader by Toastmasters International. Okay, now students, you can join us on the Telegram if you want any assistance in the homework or class notes. Yeah, if you need the notes, you can join us on the Telegram channel. तो ये जो link है Telegram channel का, it will be provided to you in the description box. And also you can join the official Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE board. तो उससे क्या होगा ना students, you will stay updated about all the ongoing offers, all the special things happening at Unacademy. Okay, so quickly go and join the channel on the Telegram. Okay, तो सबसे पहले students, as you know, today we are going to learn about writing or how to write a chemical formula, right? But this is not just a direct method. Okay, a chemical formula, if I talk about chemical formula, right? So before learning how to write a chemical formula, there are certain things जो हमें जिस पर हमारी अच्छी grip होनी चाहिए. Okay, that we should be learning or that we should understand very well. तो सबसे पहले before learning how to write or before knowing what is meant by a chemical formula, there are certain things that you should be very pro at, which is valency and radicals, right? तो सबसे पहले we will learn about the valency, about the radicals, what do we mean by them, how to calculate them, and then we will be moving towards chemical formula. Because students, अगर valency clear नहीं हुआ या radical clear नहीं हुआ, then we will be facing problem in forming the chemical formulas, right? तो चलिए start करते हैं with the valency. Okay, now talking about a very general definition, valency का meaning होता है the combining capacity of an atom. Now if I talk about combining capacity, ये थोड़ा सा ना scientific language हो जाता है. In the easy language, valency is actually the count or the number of electrons an atom can either donate or gain or share, right? So valency is the total number of electrons which can be donated, which can be gained or which can be shared during a chemical reaction. अब बात आती है why. Why any atom is donating or gaining or losing the electrons. The reason is because they need to achieve stability. Right? So talking about every element in the chemistry, the whole soul thing, it revolves around the stability. हर एक element को stable होना है. Okay, and this is the reason why they go for sharing or donating or gaining the electrons, right? तो basically जो हमारे elements है उन्हें क्या चाहिए? They need the electronic configuration जो उनका है वो होना चाहिए stable. Okay, to achieve this stable electronic configuration, the elements are the atoms are sharing the electron, they are donating the electron, or they are gaining the electron, and this is what is known as valency. अभी बात आती है ये जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है ये कहाँ से डोनेट हो रहे हैं, कहाँ से शेयर हो रहे हैं, कहाँ से गेन हो रहे हैं, राइट? नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, वी नो कि इफ आई टॉक अबाउट एटम, an atom has got electrons, protons and neutrons. Okay, so these are the three things present in any atom. If I talk about the electrons, I'm sorry, electrons, they are present in the shells, or we can also call them as orbits. तो shells या फिर orbit क्या होता है basically? These are the path in which the electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so if I talk about lithium, let's say lithium, its atomic number is 3. तो lithium का जो configuration होगा वो क्या हो जाएगा? It will be 2,1. And how it will be going? So lithium, it has got first it will be nucleus. Okay, अभी क्या होगा? In the first shell, ये जो है हमारे लिथियम का फर्स्ट शेल हो जाएगा एंड इट विल कंटेन 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स. ओके, तो फर्स्ट शेल जो है हमारा, इट कैन एकोमोडेट मैक्सिमम ऑफ 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स. तो ये जो हमारे 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स है दे आर प्रेजेंट ओवर हियर. एंड इफ आई टॉक अबाउट द सेकेंड शेल, दिस इज द सेकेंड शेल, और सेकेंड शेल में कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन प्रेजेंट होगा? इट विल बी 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन. यस, अभी क्या होता है स्टूडेंट्स? Any atom, it will require stability. So as we know, second shell जो होता है, it needs 8 electrons. Okay, so in order to acquire this stability, the elements are going for sharing or donating or gaining of electron. So as I was talking about, where does this sharing or donating or gaining of electron takes place from? So it generally takes place from the valence shell. Correct? Now what is the meaning of valence shell? It is the outermost shell. And the electrons which are present in this outermost shell, they are or the valence shell, they are known as valence electrons. Okay, so this electron or I would say the electrons present in this shell, they are gained, they are donated, or they participate in sharing. Okay, so this is what is meant by valency. Now before moving on further with valency, let us know a bit about another thing, which is an ion. Okay, अभी if I talk about any atom as a whole, क्या होता है? It is electrically neutral. Okay, why? Because atom में हमारे पास क्या होता है? It has got 3 things: the electrons, the protons and the neutrons. Okay, electron पे होता है negative charge, proton carries a positive charge, and neutron, it is neutral, it carries no charge. Okay, तो हमारा जो एक atom है as a whole, उसमें क्या होता है? It has got equal number of electron and proton. And since it has got these equal number, the atom as a whole, it behaves as electrically neutral atom. Okay, तो originally क्या होता है? हमारा जो atom होता है, it is electrically neutral. But what if I either give or I take some of the electrons from the atom or to the atom? Okay, तो इलेक्ट्रॉन का जो नंबर है वो क्या हो जाएगा? इट विल गेट डिस्टर्ब्ड. it will get changed. And now जो हमारा एटम है वो क्या रहेगा, it won't be electrically neutral, और उस पर क्या हो जाएगा, it will obtain a charge. तो हमारा जो एटम है, now it will be a charged particle. And now what are these charged particles known as? These are known as ions. Yes, so what is an ion? It is a positively or negatively charged particle. और ये how do we obtain it? It is obtained by either loss or gain of electron. तो ये जो हमारे आयंस हैं ये कैसे मिलते हैं हमें, either by the loss of electron or by the gain of electron. Okay, now this is what is meant by ion. अभी बात करते हैं different type of ions. Yes, so we basically are having two type of ions. First is a cation and second is anion. Okay, now let us see what do we mean by each, a cation and anion. See students, if I talk about a cation, it is a positively charged ion. अभी जो आयन जो एटम है उस पे पॉजिटिव चार्ज कैसे आता है, इट इज ऑब्टेन्ड बाय लॉस ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स टेक द केस ऑफ सोडियम. तो जो हमारा सोडियम होता है, इट हैज गॉट द एटॉमिक नंबर ऑफ 11, करेक्ट, एंड दैट मीन्स इसका जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन होगा, जस्ट अ मिनट, that means इसका जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन होगा, it will be 2,8,1. Okay, this is how the electrons will be distributed. Now let's take the case. See, this is the nucleus. ये हमारा हो गया first shell. Then we have got a second shell and third shell. अभी क्या होगा, in the third shell we are having 1 electron. In the first shell 2 electrons, second shell 8 electrons. And third shell 1 electron. So 2 और 8 जो है, these shells are complete. We don't need to disturb them. But talking about the last shell, यहाँ पर जो है हमारा इलेक्ट्रॉन का काउंट, it is not, I can say it is not stable. Okay. Now what will sodium try? It will try to achieve that stability. Right. Now students, there are two conditions. See, this is the second shell. This is the third shell. So यहाँ पर जो ये 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन है, there are two conditions with sodium. Either it can donate its electron or it can gain some electrons. है ना. अब डोनेट अगर करना है तो कितना इलेक्ट्रॉन डोनेट होगा, 1 इलेक्ट्रॉन. और अगर गेन करना है तो since we know that we must be having 8 electrons in the outermost shell except hydrogen and helium, तो यहाँ पर 7 इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन करना पड़ेगा. राइट. Now if I talk about donating or gaining, sharing, हर चीज में क्या चाहिए, we need energy. And think that energy which will be required in gaining 7 electrons, it will be lot more than just giving out 1 electron. तो यहाँ पर सोडियम क्या करता है, it will be giving out its 1 electron. तो क्या हुआ है, basically सोडियम it has given out its 1 electron or it has developed a positive charge. ओके, तो ये जो इलेक्ट्रिकली न्यूट्रल एटम था सोडियम, वहां से ये बन गया है आयन, एंड टू बी वेरी प्रीसाइज इट हैज बिकम अ cation. व्हाई? बिकॉज इट हैज गॉट अ पॉजिटिव चार्ज. नेक्स्ट अगर बात करें हम लोग, इट इज anion. अभी anion क्या होता है, दीज आर दी नेगेटिवली चार्ज. And how are they formed? They are formed by gain of electron. Okay. Now let's talk about fluorine. Fluorine's atomic number is 9. So this 9, it is distributed as 2,7. Okay. Now this can be its shell diagram. The first shell में हमारे पास will be having 1 electron. In the second shell we are having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 7 electrons are present. Abhi fluorine, it needs 1 more electron. Again, there are 2 conditions. It can either gain 1 electron or it can donate 7 electrons. Again, talking about energy, what is easier? Gaining 1 electron. लेकिन फ्लोरीन अगर गेन कर रहा है तो it will be developing a negative charge. फ्लोरीन क्या कर रहा है यहाँ? This fluorine, it is accepting 1 electron and it is carrying a negative charge. तो यहाँ जो फ्लोरीन का एटम था, it has changed to an ion, which is an ion, a negatively charged ion. Okay. So I hope that you understood the meaning of valency. This basically is meant by a valency. Okay, तो यहाँ से अब जो है हमारी valency calculate होती है. Okay, next बात करते हैं formula. So formula is what? It is a kind of representation of a molecule. Okay, जैसे कि we learnt in the symbol are a representation of element. So similarly, formula, it is a symbolic representation of a molecule. Right, so I hope that you can hear me, students. There was a bit of network connection error. Chali. Okay, so we were studying about the formula. Basically क्या होता है formula? It is just a kind of representation or a symbolic representation of molecules. For example, if I talk about water formula is H2O. The formula of hydrogen chloride is HCl. It is H2SO4 for sulfuric acid. तो ये basically क्या है? These are the symbolic representation of different type of molecules that we are having. Okay, so if I talk about the definition, how we can define a formula, it is the symbolic representation of the molecules. All right. Now, what does a formula signifies, or what is the significance? Okay, so first of all, it tells us about what all elements are present in a particular molecule. Okay, and also it tells us about the number of atoms which are present. Correct? So I hope the formula is clear to you. Now we'll be learning how to write these chemical formula, what are the rules of writing the chemical formula. But before moving on forward, there is another term जो कि हमें देखना है, which is a radical. Correct? Now students, if I talk about any compound, जो हमारा compound होता है, it is made up of 2 parts. Generally, it is made up of 2 parts. Okay? And these 2 parts, they are known as a radical. अभी क्या होता है radical? Let us see. If I talk about potassium chloride, तो potassium chloride जो है यहाँ पर what it is formed of? First one is potassium and second thing is chlorine. Okay, तो यहाँ पर potassium is our first radical और क्लोरीन जो है हमारा, it is the second radical. Correct? So I hope that this thing is clear to you. What do we mean by radical? If I go for a definition, so basically radical, it is either an atom or maybe it can be a group of atom in certain cases. Okay, and it is composed of a single element, or maybe it might have different elements, and they are behaving as a single unit, and they have got either a positive or a negative charge. Correct? Now, if I talk about these radicals, they are again of two types. Okay, the very first classification is a simple radical, and the second classification is a compound radical. Now let us see what do we mean by a simple radical and what do we mean by a compound radical. तो जब radical it consists of only a single atom, तो वो क्या हो जाएगा? It will be considered as a simple radical. For example, Na plus, Mg2 plus, Ca2 plus. यहाँ पर ये क्या है? It is made up of only one type of atom. And what do we call them? We call them as a simple radical. Next is the compound radical. The compound radical, it is also known as polyatomic. तो यहाँ पर we are having different type of atoms. Okay, तो यहाँ if I talk about the sulfate ion, SO4 sulfate radical SO4 2 minus, तो यहाँ पर क्या present है? Sulfur and oxygen. Okay. So since we are having two different type of atoms, it is known as a compound radical. So that is the difference between a simple radical and a compound radical. I hope that this thing is very much clear to you. Next thing that we need to remember over here is the acidic and basic radical. Now let us see what do we mean by an acidic radical and what do we mean by a basic radical. Okay, now see, just a minute. Yeah, if I talk about potassium chloride, just a minute. Okay, तो यहाँ जो potassium chloride, when it is formed, how it is formed? First of all, we take potassium hydroxide, जो कि एक base है. Okay, then we take the hydrogen chloride. Okay. और हमें क्या मिलता है? We get potassium chloride plus water. Now if I talk about potassium hydroxide, it is actually a base and hydrochloric acid is an acid. तो यहाँ पर in the formation of this potassium chloride, जो potassium है वो कहाँ से मिल रहा है हमें? Potassium is being given by a base. Okay, and इसीलिए that will be considered as a basic radical. और यहाँ क्लोरीन हमें कहाँ से मिल रहा है? It is being provided by an acid and therefore it is known as the acidic radicals. Correct? So I hope that you might have understood the basic difference between a simple radical, a compound radical and acidic and basic radical. Now why do we need to have this knowledge of the different type of radicals? Because in the formation or in the formation of the molecular formula, these radicals play a very important role. Okay, so if I talk about some of the acidic radicals, okay, they are, just a minute. Yeah, so if I talk about some of the acidic radicals, there are different types. For example, if I talk about acetate ion CH3COO minus. Okay, so over here it is considered as a acidic radical. If I talk about phosphide, that is P3 minus, this is also considered as acidic radical. Carbide, that is C4 minus. If I talk about chloride, fluoride, iodide, okay, so these all are considered as the acidic radicals. Now talking about some of the basic radicals. The examples can be ammonium, that is NH4 plus. Okay, the cuprous ion Cu2 plus. If I talk about barium, Ba2 plus. If I talk about zinc, Zn2 plus. So all these positively charged radicals, they are known as the basic radicals. Okay, now let us see, students, how to write a chemical formula. Now there are certain rules that needs to be followed while writing a chemical formula of any particular compound. Okay, now let us see what are the rules. Now in the case when we need to write a chemical formula, there is a method which is known as crisscross method and we can follow that. Now what does the rule say? That first of all, we need to see, students, before writing the chemical formula, what are the things that we should know? We should be knowing the symbol, we should be knowing if it is the acidic radical, basic radical, and we should be knowing the valency. These are the most important things that we should be knowing beforehand. Okay, तो सबसे पहले क्या करेंगे? We will write the symbol side by side. Okay, तो यहाँ पर सबसे पहले हम लिखेंगे basic radical. Basic radical actually comes first, and इसके बाद we will be writing the acidic radical. Correct? ये लिखा हमने. Next thing that we need to write is the valency. और valency कहाँ लिखेंगे हम? We'll write it on the top of each symbol. Okay. Now we can ignore the positive and negative sign of the radical. Okay. And what we will be doing, we will be dividing the valency of the radicals by HCl. तो बेसिकली हमें क्या चाहिए? वी नीड द सिंपलेस्ट रेशियो, और इसीलिए हम लोग क्या करें? वी आर डिवाइडिंग दिस वैलेंसी बाय द हाईएस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर सो दैट वी गेट द सिंपलेस्ट रेशियो. एंड इसके बाद व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू डू? वी आर गोइंग टू इंटरचेंज द वैलेंसीज. अभी इंटरचेंज कैसे करेंगे? लेट अस सी. करेक्ट. Okay, now let us try to understand this by a simple example, magnesium chloride, right? So if I talk about, just a minute, if I talk about naming of the compound magnesium chloride. Now for this, सबसे पहले हमें पता होना चाहिए what is the symbol and what is the valency of each element or each radical which is present. ओके, मैग्नीशियम का सिंबल होता है Mg, क्लोरीन का होता है Cl, क्लोराइड. ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज द वैलेंसी? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, मैग्नीशियम इट हैज गॉट वैलेंसी ऑफ 2 and chlorine it has got 1. Correct? Now we can ignore this positive and negative sign, और हम लोग क्या करेंगे? We will try to divide it. अभी see students, 2 and 1, the highest common factor is 1, and we do not, or we cannot have more simpler ratio than this. अभी क्या करेंगे? Since it is already in the simplest form, we will interchange the valency. अभी कैसे interchange करते हैं? Let us see. We will write MgCl. अभी ये जो 1 है, it will come downward of magnesium, Mg1, and here this 2, it will come downward of chlorine. Correct? And now since 1 we do not necessarily need to write it, तो हम लोग क्या लिख सकते हैं? We can write MgCl2. Okay, since it is 1, we can ignore it. Correct? So I hope that it is very much clear to you. Let's take some more examples. Next is calcium oxide. Okay, तो कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड के लिए वी आर टेकिंग फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कैल्शियम. वैलेंसी क्या है कैल्शियम का? व्हाट इज द वैलेंसी ऑफ कैल्शियम? एनीवन? हाँ जी, तो कैल्शियम का वैलेंसी होगा इट इज 2. ओके, एंड ऑक्सीजन इट हैज गॉट अगेन 2 माइनस. सो व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू डू? वी आर गोइंग टू just divide it, so 2 and 2 gets cancelled, and how we will be getting it? We will be getting CaO. Okay, so that is the thing how we get. These are some of the simple compounds. Okay, we'll be studying how to name some of the difficult compounds such as calcium hydrogen carbonate or calcium hydrogen sulfide, etc in a while. Chalo. Now before that, before moving forward, let me tell you about the special classes. So what are these special classes? These are the classes which you can watch on the Unacademy app. And how you can watch it? First of all, you need to download the Unacademy Learner app, and then you can watch these special classes for free. You can learn from your favorite educators. You can engage with your educators via polls, and you can also clear your doubts in the classes. Okay, so if you want to visit the special classes, if you want to see the special classes, you can go to the links which are provided in the description. Now, why to subscribe for Unacademy? First of all, you can learn from the comfort of your home. Then you will be having unlimited access to all the courses. You'll be taught by top educators of India, and also you will be having a regular doubt clearing session. You'll be having a regular answer writing session. Okay, so that you understand how to write the effective answers. उसके बाद you'll be getting all the study material in the PDF format. You will be having regular practice tests, live test series, और इन सब के बाद you will also be having daily practice section, weekly mock test, etc. Abhi, how to subscribe for Unacademy Plus? You can just select the timing as per your choice, 3 months, 6 months, 18, 24, anything, and you can use my code. So this is my code which you can use, and you'll be getting a 10% discount. All right. Abhi, now let us move on to some of the formulae, okay, and how to write them. तो हमने अभी कुछ इजी सीखा है, ओके, लाइक मैग्नीशियम क्लोराइड, कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड, एक्सेट्रा. ओके, इफ आई वांट टू हैव द फॉर्मूला फॉर सोडियम मेटा एल्यूमिनेट. Now for here, writing these things, students, we need to know the formulas. Okay, sodium ka we know it is Na and positive. With meta-aluminate, it is composed of aluminium and oxygen. So this thing you should be knowing very properly. The aluminate's formula is AlO2 minus. Correct? Abhi kya hoga? See, since it has got 1 plus and 1 minus, there is nothing such as HCF. So we can directly multiply it by crisscross method. And what we will be getting? We will be getting NaAlO2. Correct? So this is sodium meta-aluminate. Now students, let us suppose in the place of sodium meta-aluminate, we are having sodium aluminate. तो यहाँ पर क्या करेंगे हम लोग? Just a minute, yeah. Now see, meta-aluminate and aluminate, they both have got a huge difference. Again, sodium तो हमारा Na plus ही रहेगा. Aluminate का जो formula है, it is AlO3 and 3 negative. So this is the formula of aluminate radical. Correct? Same thing. Now see, here it is 1 plus and 3 minus. We can ignore this positive and negative. We will be going for crisscross method, and it will be Na. This 3 will come here down, and what will happen? ये जो sodium का 1 है, it will be over here. It is NaAlO thrice. So this will be the formula of sodium aluminate. तो ये जो meta aluminate था और aluminate था, they have got a huge difference. And that is why it is told कि हमें जो है जो भी acidic और basic radicals है, we should be knowing them. Correct? All right. So let us practice some more before we move forward. Let's take the case of potassium hydrogen sulfate. Okay. So this is what we will be doing. First of all, potassium. यहाँ पर potassium and hydrogen sulfate, these are the two things. Okay. Potassium का valency क्या होगा? It will be +1. Correct. और hydrogen sulfate, it will be HSO4 1 minus. Correct. तो यहाँ पर हम लोग क्या करेंगे? Again we will be following the crisscross method. जो positive negative है, it will get cancelled, and we will be getting what? KHSO4, and that is the formula for potassium hydrogen sulfate. If in the place of sulfate it would have been sulfite, then हमारा HSO4 minus नहीं रहेगा, it will be HSO3 minus. Okay, so this is very important for you all to understand that how to write the formulas. Now students, ये थोड़े से easy है. Let's suppose we are having the element such as ammonium sulfate. ओके अभी अमोनियम का जो हमारा आयन होता रेडिकल होता है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी विल बी नीडिंग टू, दैट इज अमोनियम एंड सल्फेट. ओके सो अमोनियम इज व्हाट, NH4 प्लस. ओके दिस इज आवर अमोनियम. और अगर हम सल्फेट की बात करें तो इट विल बी SO4 2 माइनस. करेक्ट. नाउ लेट अस सी हाउ टू राइट द नेम ऑफ दीज फॉर्मूलाज. तो सबसे पहले पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव को हम लोग इग्नोर करेंगे and we will be following the crisscross method. And how to do it? See, अभी यहाँ पर this 2 will come down, but over here you have to be careful about how you are writing this 2. तो ये जो 2 है, it is with nitrogen also and it is with hydrogen also. So that is why we write it in a bracket. And next जो sulfate है, it is SO4. Okay, 1 we do not need to write. So that will be the formula of ammonium sulfate. Got it? Hope it is clear. If there is any confusion, kindly let me know. Okay, now let us see how to name it. Okay, from the formula, how are we going to name any compound? Now students, in naming of the compound, we are going to follow certain rules. First है, what if we are having, just a minute, naming the compounds. Okay, so the very first condition, when we are having a metal and non-metal. So let's suppose we are naming a compound and it has got a metal and non-metal. तो सबसे पहले हम लोग क्या करेंगे, we will be writing the name of metal. Then we will be writing the name of non-metal and we will be adding a suffix which is IDE. Okay. For example, if I talk about the compound of calcium and nitrogen. Okay. तो सबसे पहले क्या आएगा, metal, calcium, then nitrogen का, and then we will be adding IDE. So how it is named? It is named as calcium nitride. Okay, talking about how to write the formula, calcium का valency Ca2 plus, nitrogen का it is 3 minus, and how we will be getting it, Ca3N2. Okay, so this is the very first rule. Talking about the second thing, let's suppose हमारे पास दोनों ही जो है non metal है. So if we are having 2 non metals, what are we going to do? We are adding prefix di, tri, tetra, penta, anything. Okay, जो second non metal है वो कितना present है उसके according. For example, it is PCl3. तो first phosphorus आ गया और chlorine. How many chlorine are we having? 3. So it is trichloride. Correct. इसी तरह से if we are having PCl5, so it will be named as what? Phosphorus pentachloride. This is how we are going to name it. Hope that this is very much clear. Now moving on to the third rule. Third rule है, if we are having 2 elements and oxygen. What if we are having 2 elements and oxygen? तो हमारा जो oxygen है, it is always represented at the end of the formula. Okay, and now there are certain cases over here. Okay, तो अगर हमारा oxygen it is less than 2, so we will be using a prefix hypo. Correct. If the number of oxygen it is equal to 2, then हमारा जो suffix है, so hypo is used as a prefix. But if the number of oxygen is equal to 2, तो हमारा जो suffix है we are using, that is ITE, and it is used as suffix. And if the number of oxygen is 3, we are using the suffix ATE. This is the suffix that we use. And if the number of oxygen is more than 3, what are we using? We are using PER, and it is used as a prefix. Correct? Let us see with each condition and how to name the compounds. Now, for example, if I am taking NaCl, अब यहाँ पर number of oxygen कितना है? We are having 1, that is less than 2. तो less than 2 में हम लोग क्या करेंगे? We are using the prefix hypo. Okay? So what will be the name of this compound? It will be sodium hypochlorite. Just a minute. So this compound, it will be named as sodium hypochlorite. The reason is because there is only one oxygen present. Let us suppose यहाँ पर one oxygen ना होकर we had 2 oxygen. Okay? So what are we using? What is our suffix? It is ITE. So it will be named as sodium chlorite. Correct? Let us suppose if we are having 3 oxygen, that is NaClO3, तो हमारा जो suffix है वो क्या हो जाएगा? ATE. So it will be named as sodium chlorate. And if there are 4 oxygen, then we'll be using the prefix per, and it will be named as sodium perchlorate. Correct? I hope that this thing is very much clear to you and there is no confusion. Alright. The students, you can join the upcoming batches for grade 9, for grade 10. We have already started many amazing batches. So आप लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? You just need to join, and you can see this is one of the batch Avengers which has started from 13th of April for grade 9. तो यहाँ पर these are the different educators. Manan sir is taking your math, Shivam sir is taking your physics, I'm taking your chemistry, and Bhavna ma'am is taking your biology. And all the 9th graders, if you are taking or if you are subscribing for grade 9, you are getting the subscription of grade 10, 11 and 12 absolutely free. So this is one of the very amazing opportunity that you are having, students. Kindly grab it, kindly avail it as soon as possible. And also you can join the community. The community is just like a group of educators. Okay, तो आप किसी भी particular educator का community join कर सकते हैं in order to receive the regular update, in order to get your session notes, practice material, and also you can share your feedback with the educators. So if you want to join my community, you can click on the link which is present below, okay, or in the description box. Next is the Bugs Bounty. So Bugs Bounty is the opportunity for all of you. If you see any inappropriate content in the video, you can report it and you can claim your prize. Okay, so we are having this form in the description box. You can use it and you can report it. Alright, so I hope that you might have understood everything, students, how to write the chemical formula. And if there is any confusion, you could please let me know in the chat box. Okay, let's quickly revise what are the things that we did today. We started with valency. क्या होता है valency? It is the combining capacity of any element. या फिर in easy language, if I talk about the valency है how many electrons any atom it can lose or gain or share during a chemical combination. And why is any atom losing or sharing the electrons? In order to achieve the stability or in order to achieve the nearest noble gas electronic configuration. उसके बाद we learned about radicals. Okay, we learned about the acidic radicals, we learned about the basic radicals, and then we learned how to write the chemical formula. तो chemical formula को अच्छे से लिखने के लिए there are certain things that you should be knowing. First of all, the symbol of the element, then the formula for the radical and the valency of that particular element. Okay, we learned about crisscross method, and after that we learned how to name different type of compounds. So with this, I hope that whatever we studied today, it is very much clear. You might have understood every single thing. All right, and what you can do, students, is you can subscribe to the channel of Unacademy ICSE, and if you like the video, you can press on like button and you can share this video with your friends. So we'll be meeting in the next class, students, in which we'll be taking another important topic for you all, and we'll be studying that. So till then, keep studying, keep learning. All the very best. Thank you.